Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, we are now in the new year, and lots of people have spent lots of good family time, over the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, and they're looking forward to a new year, and it's time to, set new goals.
Yep.
But it's also time to look back.
A little bit, yeah.
And have a perspective and remember, where you've been and who's been there with you, and it's a time of reflection, and it's a time of optimism.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the looking back portion, that's really going to be the topic of our show today. We're going to be talking about Chris Shaw, who we lost, I want to say Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Chris was quite a guy, and I've got 3 gentlemen here who have all been on the show in the past, who are all pillars in Moore County in terms of the people that the students that they've touched, the people that they've influenced. We always talk about teachers making indelible impressions on students, and I think there are a lot of students who will, in 20 or 30 years, still remember my 3 guests. The one commonality they all have is their love of music, and they all played with Chris, and it was not a vocation, it was their passion. They all have their own jobs, and yet the jobs are given energy by their passion. Chris had it as well. So really, just if I read everyone's resume, it would take the whole show, and I'm not going to do that. I just want to talk a little bit about highlights. Torin Wright, who has been a guest on the show numerous times, and if I'm not mistaken, Torin, 2 shows ago, it was after you retired from the educational world. You have been in Moore County and serving the community for over 25 years. You were an educator, a conductor, a collaborator. You have been involved in church music leadership, community performances, and with a strong focus on choral music and large ensemble work. And every time I have you on, I always tell the story, and I just told your friends that we met back in 2001 after 9/11 at the American Red Cross concert. That was my first introduction to you.
Jane Oliver?
Jane Oliver.
That's her.
Yeah. And I told the other 2 guests a story before you came in, and what life lessons were given to the students that you brought in, which is not what you had planned, but
they got to learn about the arts and the personalities that go with it.
That's right.
That's a nice way of putting it.
That's a nice way to put it. And you just heard Chris Dunn, who is the executive director of the Arts Council of Moore County, and Chris has served in the position since 2002. He's a freelance trumpeter. He's played locally for the Carolina Philharmonic, the Heart of Carolina Jazz Band, the SCC Jazz Band, the Moore County Choral Society, the Temple Theater. I didn't know you played at the Temple Theater.
Yeah, I did a show there called
Did you really?
Beehive or something. It was about women, I don't even know how to say it, women's groups in the 60s.
Okay.
I think it was called Beehive or something like that. Beehive hairdos.
It was. It was much like the movie The Hairdo that came out.
Yeah. It was fun.
I remember. I can vouch.
You can. These guys, by the way, are very shy. I don't know if we're going to get a whole lot out of them today, so you might just be listening to me. And talking about shy, I'll introduce our 3rd guest, Rob Hill. Rob's resume is a show in itself. Rob has won so many awards with the mentoring and the directorship he has provided at the with the Union Pines Marching Band, that he has contemplated many times adding 400 square feet of heated space to his home just to store the trophies.
You're very kind.
Is that not accurate?
It's a lot of they do very well. Yeah.
You honestly,
Didn't realize you needed the humidifier for the trophies.
Right. Yeah.
your background is so varied. You've traveled so much. You've performed. You've taught. You've mentored. You took the Union Pines Marching Band a couple of years ago to Washington, D.C.
Correct. Yeah, we did the. I think that was in 2010. It had been quite a while back, but we were one of the 50 groups that were they asked for groups to be represented from each state.
That's right.
And we were the representative from North Carolina to march in that parade. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was 100 degrees that day. I remember it was very hot.
Well,
with those marching uniforms.
Those students. What year was that?
I believe it was 2010.
So those
Not
students will
100%
never
accurate,
they'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a good. I didn't forget it, and my memory's going, but not that one. So.
Well, between the four of us, we have over 100 years, just about 20 to 25 years each, of knowing Chris, and I remember back to, I think it was Christmas Eve, Chris Dunn, that you texted me.
Oh yeah.
And Chris is usually much, he's very glib and he's much more communicative. And he sent me not a terse message, but it was right to the point. And I had a second sense that there was something wrong because you were trying to reach out to Dee Shaw, who was married to Chris for 20 years.
Wow, was it 20 years?
They got married in 1987.
No, not 87?
And I'm sorry.
No.
97 to 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, 97 to 2017. 20 years they were married. And my relationship with Chris is not through music, but it's through Dee, who has worked with me for almost, I think, 25 years at this point. Yeah. And it's crazy. And I always knew them as a couple that were always good friends. Even after their marriage, after they went their own ways, they remained good friends to both of their credits. I knew Chris, he did a lot of work for us in the real estate business. I knew about his passion for music, but I didn't know the intensity of it. But that's what you guys, your remembrances and recollections of Chris, he was only 65.
Yeah.
65. All of a sudden, as we get older, 65 isn't so young. I mean, isn't so old.
Well, it's too young to
right?
past.
Yeah.
And so you, Chris, you were the one who reached out to Dee and were able to speak with her.
Yeah, no, never been able to. I've never been the one to break the news, and that was hard. And Dee knew when I called. She said I had a feeling.
Yeah.
And 2 days before, Rob and I have been trying to get him out of his apartment for the last 5 years at least.
In Aberdeen.
Yeah, he became a little hermit.
Yeah, we when we were in the area, we would text him and say, "Come out, have a beer with us," but he was busy, reading, doing what he does in his apartment. But we noticed he kind of, I think he just wanted the alone time. It seemed like
he was as glib as Chris could be, and as talkative as Chris could be. He was a very private person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what we were going to do was go get him out. So this Sunday before, we went there downtown. It was Rob, myself, and another trombone. We call her trombone Becca, but it's Becca Clemens. So we went down to play Christmas carols. And we were going to go up into his apartment's up on the second floor. Right. And we texted and said, "We're down here. We'd like to come up and play you some Christmas carols." And he said, "Something's wrong with his knee. He can't get up." So we said, okay, we'll play him out here. So
Yeah,
we played
right
out
outside the window. We blasted that window.
That was
music.
over Mason's.
Yeah, right. They brought out water for us. They said, "Are you playing for Chris upstairs?" Like,
Yeah, and they knew him very well too. You know, so he must have probably went down to that place quite often. I'm
Well,
sure.
Chris was a very personable
Oh,
friend
yeah.
to everybody.
Yep.
Friend to everybody.
Yep. And I met him in 1995, and I don't remember the first time, but I know it was playing music.
Yeah.
And I remember how much he could talk, but he was smart.
Yep. Very smart. Very
He could
intelligent.
talk about anything.
Right.
And he read a lot. And I have a book on my nightstand. He said, "I want that back." And I never read it. It's still in the plastic bag he gave it to me. Now I haven't read it. I'm going to read it now, but I never gave it back.
I always was struck by how he embellished his uniqueness, where he was not overly social. He was comfortable in his own skin. He wasn't always aspiring to jump and goal after goal after goal. He was okay with who he was, and he wasn't trying to change his position in life per se, but just enjoy the life he had.
I admired his simplicity.
Yeah.
In his life, I never went to his house on Roseland Road. He had a log
it was
cabin.
a really cute place. I
Yeah.
remember going
Not
out there
big.
with Carrie. We went out there sometimes for New Year's, my wife.
Yeah.
And this was before all the kids and stuff. And we had some good times out there, I remember.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was just, it was a place that most people, I think, you were talking about retirement here, Tori, but if you want to kind of just be that way, retired, no, he's working, but that seemed to be the place to go to unwind and relax, and it was very neat set up, you know.
And then I always enjoyed talking to him in general, wherever I saw him. But we would talk about lifestyles, and what I never had been to his house, but I can tell you that I know that he didn't watch TV, and he had a uncanny ability to understand what was important in life.
Yeah.
And he connected well with his friends and connected well with anybody. But he was not interested in any of the things that might take us sideways. And so I know that he was an avid reader, and I understand that he played his music in the evenings and would relax reading and just spend his evenings in solitude, if you will.
Yeah.
But I took a lot away from our conversations in that he was so grounded and so balanced.
Yeah.
His playing was the same. When he played, he's probably one of the best trombone players I've ever played with.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Rob might have he's played with more people.
No, Chris Shaw. I remember to this day, you know, and I can't stop thinking about him since all this happened. You know, every day I'm thinking about some, you know, thing we did together. I have a lot of pictures, you know, that I put up on the wall. He's in a lot of them. But I remember one of the first things I heard him play, and I owe a lot to him for getting me involved in this community. You talked about a sense of community, and when people are here, their shared relationships get real strong.
Yes.
And that's one really cool thing about Moore County. You know, you've noticed that.
I agree with you 100%.
And he was one of those, when I first got to the area, I didn't really know. I met Chris Dunn. He just right away, you know, made me feel comfortable. Tori, too. But Chris Shaw said, hey, you know, you got some skills. And I was looking for a place to play the trumpet, just being in the area. And he said, you need to come check out this SEC Jazz Band. We need some trumpet players. But when I got in there for the first rehearsal, we were doing, and I won't forget it, it's an arrangement of I've Got a Crush on You. And when he played that trombone, I just couldn't even think about anything else except for that sound. I was lost in my own music, you know, because I just wanted to hear him play. He was so smooth.
He was an artist.
Yeah.
And he also had to live a non-artist's life at the same time.
Right.
And he found a good, comfortable middle ground, and he was comfortable in his own skin. And that's a thing I always thought about him. And his pace was always measured. It was not frenetic. Chris,
No.
do you agree? I mean,
I would. So he worked at Whistle Stop Press.
that's right.
I don't know how long he worked there, but he
Long
worked
time.
there long
The entire
before.
time that I've been here, and I came in
Exactly.
'96. So,
Yeah. So
right.
and I came in '95, and he was working there. He had this old printer. It wasn't a big machine, but he printed letterhead and envelopes and business cards on it.
That's right.
By the thousands.
That's right.
And he was meticulous
Right.
about keeping that clean. He did have another printer for parts, but he kept that thing running, which that thing had to be 60 years old.
I find similarity with his work that he did at Whistle Stop with his capabilities with musicianship because of the detail that is necessary for both, and the passion that he had for music, whether that be on trombone or when he switched over to the bass. I would equally see in what he produced when he was at Whistle Stop.
He worked hard on that.
Not to mention, right?
We're going to come back in the second set. I have a couple of stories I want to share with you that go back to 2006 that are not musically related but artistically related. But Rob, you made mention of it. The thing that is so cool about Moore County is the three of you, or the four of you, including Chris, you're like the musical foursome. You're not a golf group. But you guys there's a brotherhood, there's a sense of community. You all came from outside of Moore County, and now you call Moore County home. And we all are tied to a 20-plus, 25-year experience. And those roots run pretty deep, right?
Yeah.
Especially at the age now where the four of us collectively actually have a better perspective than we did 25 years ago, where we can appreciate the texture of those relationships.
Yeah.
This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back.
James said that 2 weeks before it was obvious.
We are back with our second set. That's okay. We have some conversation going on. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of stories to relate about Chris Shaw. Chris Dunn, you brought in some music which Dorothy is playing as a bumper music. Can you want to give us, because that was Chris. We just listened to it.
The trombone player on the two recordings that I gave y'all are Chris. One is a feature of him. The one you just heard was, I think, called Infinite Blue, and he plays the trombone solo on it. And it's a group called the Swingaroos, and I don't know if you ever heard of Fred Brush and Lynn Brush.
Yes.
That's Fred and Lynn's group. And we
Another
played
great
in that. It
musician.
was just a three-horn group. It was fun to play. It was all Fred's arrangements.
Fred was an older gentleman. So I have a story to tell you. In 2006, two stories.
Yeah.
My mother and my two aunts from northern New Jersey all came down to visit. They were all widowed. And we had a cocktail party at the Mid-Pines Country Club, golf club. And I had, at that time, lots of friends and family come. Chris was there. And he brought Fred in to play the music.
Yes.
I still have the pictures of the event. What I did not know, and it was all because of Chris. He got Fred to come in, and my mother flipped over him. Well, what we didn't know was that was in June of 06. In December of 06, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4, and she passed in April of 07, and it happened very quickly. And I look back now, and I still have those pictures saved. Chris was so thin. He was so youthful. And
was thin.
Huh?
He was thin.
He was thin, but he had no body fat, but he had really no body fat in 06. And he and Dee were an integral part of that event. And Fred was too. And Fred passed, how long ago, Fred Brush?
Well, it was
Probably
only a
2.5
couple years
years,
ago.
maybe?
Yeah.
Is
Just
it
a
only
couple,
2.5
unfortunately.
years?
Yeah.
It was after COVID.
Yes, well, definitely after COVID.
Yeah.
Both Lynn and Fred.
Right.
About the same time.
At the
Is
same,
that right?
around the same time.
I think that it was what do we call when Lynn passed first.
Yeah,
His heart broke. Yeah, so I know that's a phenomenon. It happens with spouses.
Yeah.
And my recollection was that Fred didn't live long after Lynn passed.
No.
He loved Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
there was some reference made to Chris's artistic side, and I knew him as a printer at Whistle Stop.
Right.
I also knew him as a very creative graphic artist.
Right.
Yep.
And back in 2006, I had been here for 6-7 years, and I was, in the beginnings of a real estate career. Well, there was a property that we had listed for sale called the Castle in Pinehurst.
I love that. Yeah.
And it was the first Chapter 15 bankruptcy in the state of North Carolina, which is a foreign bankruptcy on U.S. soil. And it was beyond my scope at the time. No one really knew me, but they interviewed every broker in town, and we all lined up. It looked like a New York subway. One at a time, when we went in to speak to the bankruptcy attorney. Well, I was fortunate to procure the listing, and Chris did, and I'm going to feature this in the podcast. He did a graphic of the castle. If you know the castle, the built on Shaw Avenue, there were stained glass windows in the silo portion of the castle, and he took that stained glass and turned it into a background, an entire background, a collage of colors, and we used that as our features list with the castle in the background, but with the stained glass. It was, to this day, even with all the new technology, it was the single best marketing piece that in 26 years I've ever done.
I remember him working on that.
Do you really?
Because you had him do many other things.
Yes,
and
we
he would
did.
show it to us. So he was in part of More Brass, which is a brass quintet that Rob and I are in,
Yeah.
and Kim and Davis Clark and Chris Shaw. We started it in 2001-ish. It was early, 2000.
It's about that time I jumped in.
Actually,
you guys
I'm sorry,
had
that's
started
right.
before I
We
did.
started in 97 or 98, and then Rob joined us later. But he would bring stuff to us that he was working on graphic wise.
Yes,
I
he
was
would.
like, So when I first met him, I was like, he told me all his background. He came here, and he worked on a horse farm.
Uh-huh.
And then somehow he got into the printing business, and he's been there. He was there for years, and then he got into his graphic, and all the while he's playing trombone. He has his own bands. He's playing in other people's bands. They're doing dance things. This is in the 80s. I mean, mid to late 80s. And I just kept, every time he would reinvent himself in a way that just, he kept growing. But
that brought me to a funny, about all the graphic design stuff. Now, he was a jokester, too. He would do this with me all the time. Like, I would always participate in these, like, the Spirit Week school days, right? So one of them might be like it would be, I don't know, it was March, or there was the leprechaun, whatever. Or it would be the opposite sex day, and I would go in there as a teacher, and I would dress up accordingly, and I would do the lipstick, and I would look like I was a female teacher. But Chris would always snap a picture of me during these days. And I remember one time he had me. He would superimpose like 2 records on each one of my hands, but I was dressed as a woman, and for the Spirit Week, and I think I look pretty good, actually. I'm gonna take the
No, you didn't.
ship.
No, you didn't.
But
We'll let you
anyway,
think that.
Yeah, because I went all out, But anyway, one was like, he played at the opposite side. Was I the guy person or was I the female? Because I looked like both combined into one, So he'd have a record be like, which, it'd be a Chet Baker album or it'd be some other thing like that. And that's just one example of he would do to be kind of clever, just to play on whatever photo it was. But and one time, I think it was a pit orchestra thing. I'm thinking about the leprechaun thing again. He made stickers, and he shrunk my head down. He took a picture of my head into this little leprechaun guy, and he made stickers to hand out everybody just to wear them. You remember this?
But
so.
that was a part of Chris that I appreciated. He always would overshare information about something he was doing, and he was so into it, and you would listen and go, okay, and you're 15 minutes in, and you're like, your attention span is only so long. But he got so organic about it, and there was so he had this need to express himself a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he did it with people that he felt comfortable around.
Well, he also, I think, made it a point to be around people that were serving. He liked to, even though he was very capable of talking in circles,
Yeah.
which I've been known.
Yeah.
One of the things I recognized real quickly with Chris, and I tell you, it would be the same for the group, all of us here, and a countless number of other friends we have that enjoy music with us, is that it's all about serving. It's not about the song. It's about impacting someone's life. And so I find that that's what got him out of the house, because he loved being by himself in the evenings. But one of the things that was capable for him to get away from that was that he could be in an environment where he can create, but not just for creating purposes, but create by giving back.
Yeah. That expression, we use it sometimes when someone walks to a different drummer, or
Correct.
And that was Chris, because he did. He walked to a different beat.
Yeah.
But his tone and his tenor was inclusive, and I say that because I knew the relationship that he had with Dee and Dee's children and 5 grandchildren, and he adopted them as if they were his, and the children and the grandchildren all felt that about him. He was very comfortable in that family situation as well. I mean, and I could observe that from different events and things I used to attend.
Yeah, we saw that more than we only saw it from the music side, from
Right.
what I remember.
Well, he was great with my boys too, and we used to invite him over for Thanksgiving, and he would come over from time to time. Sometimes he could, sometimes he couldn't. But just the dynamic of having 4 boys in the house.
What was the age range of your boys then? Because I know they're older now.
That was probably about at least 10 years ago. So they were probably middle school, elementary school.
Yeah.
And now they're high school. Some have graduated.
And he doesn't
they're
have
into
any gray
college.
hair. He doesn't show it
Well, here it is.
on the chin.
It's going to be there soon, I'm sure. But but anyway, he was great with them, and you know what he said, that to this day, and this was before even the technology really started to take out, and the youth get a bad rap because they're on their phones all the time. They're actually very smart. They just very, very fast to jump from one thing to the next.
Right.
But he appreciated the fact that because we just were like, the way we raised them, we wouldn't do the phone until they were at least freshmen in high school. This we put our foot down on this, but so they were. What are they going to do? They're playing the regular board games. They're outside riding the bikes, and Chris really appreciated that. He made that a big point. And today, I think a lot of people, this was before that time that people were. There was even a news segment that's kind of making a comeback now. Let's put these things up now, these devices.
Well, that was Chris's whole approach to his extracurricular life, was to put that stuff
like
away.
Like you said, no TV.
Yeah,
that kind
that's
of
right.
thing, So anyway, he was ahead of his time with that, I believe, And he was really good speaking about with the grandchildren, but with my boys too, just being real kind-hearted to them, and it was good to have them around,
In a closing thought for this set, as I get older, my perspective, my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, but I see the whole playing field a whole lot better.
Yeah.
When you lose one of your own, a peer, as opposed to a parent, as we get older, it affects you differently. And it makes you appreciate what you have more today. You don't take things for granted as much,
Right.
I think.
True.
With Chris, I know Rob and I talked about this a lot. Since COVID, he become, we called him a hermit. He would and he said that was fine. When I found out Whistle Stop was going out of the business, I called him, and an hour later, we're still talking. But he said, I appreciate the call. I'm fine. He was weighing his options, retire or not. And he said he really appreciated that. So we kept trying for years just to get him to come out, and I know he appreciated it. And like you're saying, we kind of missed him before he was really gone.
Did he was he looking forward to retirement? Was that
I
something
don't
he
think
wanted
so.
to do?
I think he enjoyed working.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And this is where I wanted to make a comment about his work ethic. Man, he had a great work ethic. And one of the last few, my oldest boy is actually going into graphic design now. And
Oh.
these thoughts are coming through my mind after he passed away. But wouldn't it have been so cool if my oldest boy who's going to that could have seen what it was and the true print pressment.
Yeah.
What that is before all the digital stuff that comes out.
Right.
Right.
Because he was adamant about this machine. He would talk all about it.
He was
knew
a
exactly.
pressman. He was not a printer.
Yeah.
He wasn't a graphic designer. He was a pressman.
But he could do that. He would use that equipment, and it was just really. It would be neat for somebody to see how the makings of that. But he was,
Yeah.
man, he would work so hard doing all that.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot too about when he first came down the area. He worked with horses, I suppose, doing all, whatever's involved with that's a lot of work. And so just he's been I think he liked to work, like you were saying. It just so I couldn't tell you for sure what it was at the end, but I think probably he enjoyed working for sure.
Yeah.
And I know the work with music brought him out because when you're with a bunch of musicians that like to play and it's working really well, there's an energy that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, you're all in the same mindset. You're all on the same page.
And you want to get to that
You have a
every
rhythm.
time.
You have a rhythm.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who walk around in life who don't have a rhythm. They don't have a connection. They don't have a network. And, in many ways, you guys were his tether line because he was so private.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you would be able to pull him in every once in a while. But I guess in the last year, not as much.
Few years.
Yeah, a few years. We
Okay.
tried. He
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm fine.
But you still
and
saw him out every
saw-
week. You saw
we
him
saw
out.
him at
Well,
the church
you-
when,
yeah,
when
'cause
we
you were-
played there.
Every
He
week
was
you were
there
there.
every week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pinehurst Methodist Church that was his Sunday gig. He loved that gig.
And
he was
he-
like, that's
well-
the best thing I've got going.
And I come back to that one of the unique things about this community is the number of people that I'm going to brag on the arts because quite honestly, we need to support the arts more often. It's a well-known thing that if you want theater to be there for you or live music, you need to support it with your tickets or your sponsorships. And quite honestly, one of the wonderful things is that whether you're in the audience or you're on stage, it's a camaraderie of a community of people that support one another and feed off of one another. And in the camaraderie that we all had performing was priceless.
It was.
And I know the same when I sit in an audience. I'm going to something at BPAC tomorrow. I won't bring up the name, but I'm really looking forward to it. And it's same concept. I'm going to be in the audience, but I look forward to that energy as being part of a community that supports one another. And so you would find Chris out on a weekly basis, and I think that was the reason why he did, is because he was part of that network.
Yeah. We're going to switch off this set and come back, and I know Dorothy's going to play a little more music as we go into the third set. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back.
If I'd have known I did that.
Welcome back. Welcome back to our third set. Remembering Chris Shaw with Torin Wright, with Chris Dunn and Rob Hill. And Chris, again, I'm going to give you the honors. That bumper music that was just.
It was the
listened to.
Swingaroos again, and it was Fred wanted to feature Chris, so he wrote an arrangement for trombone feature, and it's called "God Bless the Child." And if I'm not mistaken, I think Chris did it in one take.
Is that right?
Yeah, he didn't mess around. He could play.
I didn't know Chris as a musician as much as I knew him as married to Dee. They had a 20-year marriage, and I enjoyed being around them. They were, I think, more than anything, they were friends. They found a comfort level in each other. And sometimes as you get older and you go through different things, sometimes those the commonalities sometimes aren't as close as they maybe once were.
Right.
And people have different rhythms and different interests. But that never, ever disrupted their respect for each other. And I think as much as I would have liked Dee to come in, I don't think she could have sat here with the three of you knowing you the way she does. I just didn't think she could talk. And trust me, she can talk. Right?
She's great.
Yeah, she's great. She can talk, but not about this. But I think if she were writing a book about her life, I think she would say that one of the most important parts of her life was her 20-year relationship with Chris.
Oh yeah.
You draw her children, her grandchildren, her 20-year marriage, and the impressions that he left her. I don't think she'll ever lose them.
No, and they met at was an office romance.
No, not at my office.
No, before
we just were
they both
real
worked
estate.
at Whistle Stop
Yeah,
Press.
they were at their office.
And I came in one day and I remember, I don't remember if it was Chris or Dee. They said, "We're getting married." And I'm like, "To who?" To each other. I'm like, "What?" I didn't know they were dating at all. So
is that right?
That was like the first 2 years I had known them. And I only saw them when I went to go pick up a print job.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice. So after that, when we'd play with our brass quintet, Dee would come to the church we were playing in and listen to us and clap with everybody else. And it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But they had this great relationship.
Yeah.
As far as I could tell, it was just friends first.
Right.
And then it blossomed.
Right.
And my understanding from talking to Dee recently is that they talked regularly, if not every day.
Yeah.
They still talked after the 20-year marriage. They talked always. So they connected on at least a weekly basis, I believe much more.
Yeah, they stayed connected for sure. And I think Chris, to his credit, I mean, he respected the transitions that they had to make. And Dee remarried, and he married a very, very nice guy.
Yay.
Really a great guy. And different periods in our lives sometimes call for different situations, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's why a book has more than one chapter,
It does.
right? Otherwise, if it had one chapter, nobody would read it.
That's why I retired.
Yeah. Well, you've been reinventing yourself.
That's right.
And all three of you are at an age where you have more opportunities to continue to reinvent yourself.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And you never want to stop, right?
You don't want to be
take your
static.
foot off the pedal.
No.
Except for Rob, who's really type B.
He needs to
and
slow
he's
down.
not looking to do anything. He's just too placid.
Okay. Well, speaking of Dee and Chris, I mentioned it earlier, maybe the first segment, but Dee and Chris they're very kind to Carrie and I, and just having the boys about that time of our life, just understanding that sometimes we had to kind of get away and just relax, so they would invite us to that log cabin that they lived in, and we would have the best time. I mentioned New Year's, and but it just was fun. We would watch movies like DVDs. He had a big collection, and I'd look at those, and because I love the movies, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that one yet, and then we would watch them and just have a good old time, just relaxing together. And thinking about how much Dee really appreciated Chris too. The 50th his 50th birthday was a big deal, and it was a big surprise. She said, "Don't spoil this surprise." I remember, and those things had a big impact on me. That somebody would care for somebody that much to make a big deal out of birthdays like that. And because I probably need to work on that really, and. Talking about the personality of me. Now, I'm always up for let's go and hang out. And I would ask Chris to do, but talking about how committed he was to Dee, I'm pretty good about maybe twisting people's arm because it's good to hang out and relax and let's have that time. But he would say sometimes, nope, got to go back to the cabin. I'm having eggs. Me and Dee, I'm like, okay. But he wouldn't budge because that's, what he was going to do, And so much respect for that. To be able to say no from time to time.
Yeah.
If Chris were, if he were a fly on the wall here, and if he could hear the three of you talk, I could see him sitting there enjoying this with a smile on his face, and just soaking it in, as opposed to anything else. I think he was very appreciative of the people that were in his circle, and I think he would very much enjoy this. From what I understand, they're not doing a service for him.
No, I know Pinehurst Methodist Church did a special service.
Yeah.
The the week after.
He was in the praise band at Pinehurst United Methodist on a weekly basis. So
he played electric bass because he got to a point where his teeth, it hurt to play trombone, so he stopped playing trombone entirely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he always played electric bass too, so he just picked that up and dove into that. But the coolest part about that service was they did not have a bass player. They left
the
that
one
void.
that was honoring Chris.
That was on the 4th of January, I
I
think,
think so, yes.
that Sunday.
And when I'm playing in a group, I always love having bass. It supports. It's a foundation for everything, for tonally.
And wasn't that his personality as well? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But a good bass player is the type of bass player that's not a lead.
Right.
A good bass player is a bass player that's there in presence, and that was Chris.
Yes.
Whether it was a trombonist or just a friend, he was the person that was steady and there. As long as he was there talking in circles.
He could talk.
Well, and just without him playing, and it was everybody got it. Hopefully everybody did, but I for sure got a sense that he was missed. He will be missed.
He will,
you know?
yes. He will be missed.
And when you go through those things and you start thinking, your mind wanders. And I really wish I could have told him how much he meant to me. I mean, I know he probably kind of knew, but just if I could have said that, you wish.
You can tell me now.
Yeah, I do. But no, because he got me my roots down here. He helped me set down here. I don't, I was always kind of been like the wind will blow me somewhere, and it ended up blowing me here. And I've been here for a while. But he was one of the first people that got me to knowing the people and introduced me to all the musicians and all the things that you talk about, being strong and steady in the community with, the shared, like say the relationships and things that make you strong. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if I, would have known a lot of people around here,
Well, he's going to leave an impression, obviously, on all of us, especially the three of you and the other people that, Tori, that you were mentioning that could be here too to speak on his behalf.
Understood.
But just hopefully it makes us just appreciate the people in our circles more in a different light as we get a little more mature. How's that?
Yeah.
Well, that heavenly band is getting that much stronger.
Oh, it's great today.
Well, and if I could have just said thank you.
Yeah.
And to Dee as well, just for, just being those people for Carrie and I, and just being nice people, good-hearted people.
Yeah.
And Chris was when I first moved here, he was the one that gave me the history of this area because he came here in the 80s.
Yeah, he was here ahead of you.
So I know he saw a lot of change, more so than most of us. But it was that introduction into, come on, you got to play. And first time I heard about Rob was him talking about how well Rob played these solos.
Yeah.
He was like, you got to hear this guy. He can play.
Yeah.
And he says he's just not playing. He's making a statement with his solos. And then Chris was just amazed by that. And the one other thing, Chris was good enough to hang with anybody on the trombone. He played with a guy named Wayne Bergeron, a trumpet player who is a studio musician.
He's one of the best in the world, even
He's
to
amazing.
this day.
He plays the trumpet, the lead trumpet, the high trumpet on the Fantastics. Is it
The Incredibles?
The Incredibles.
Yeah.
He's doing the lead trumpet on
A lot of the Hollywood stuff. You watch a movie,
Hard
you probably
music.
heard him play it,
But he went to Wayne Bergeron, came to UNCP, and I think it was Aaron Vandermeer asked Chris Shaw to come play with him in this little trio or combo group, and Chris was honored, scared, and after it was over, he was like proud of himself. And
Sure.
I could tell.
Wow.
Sure.
He had an ear, boy. I tell you, it's something that envy. He could just hear things, and he also talked to me about growing up playing when he was a teenager in Boston. Actually, he was that good.
He doesn't have a music degree. He didn't go to college for music.
But he plays like surely could have. Been trained to do it, but he just had that.
Well, he
ear.
was an academic, and he would
he was
study
smart.
hard.
Yeah,
and
he did.
he was precise with what he was always interested in learning.
Yeah.
You guys have very skillfully painted a great mosaic about his life and what he meant to you guys. So we could keep talking, and Chris would like that,
He
right?
would.
If we
He
could keep
would.
talking. or he could come and join us. But
wish.
Chris Dunn, I want to thank you for coming
No,
in and sharing.
Thanks for doing this.
And
Thank you.
everything. Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Rob Hill, you're a good storyteller, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
I will tell you that. He speaks and people listen, right?
Oh yeah, but in the South,
I think,
And
in the
It's
South,
all
stories
good.
are lies.
well,
But he's a good guy.
I've been taught to tell the truth.
and
just
my
so you
buddy
Yeah.
Tori, he's the voice of reason, and he calls them like he sees them, which is what I like about him.
Yep.
Always has. And the three of you collectively have also left your impressions on countless students, as Chris has through the work
Mhm.
he did with you. So we'll thank Chris. and
Yes.
we'll wish you guys
well,
well
we
this
want to
year.
thank you as well.
Thank you.
Oh,
You are amazing.
my pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure, guys.
This was an
we'll-
honor.
We'll close out with Chris Shaw playing, and we'll say have a good week. This is All Things Moore County.